Let me bring in our political guests on this debate. I have Radhika Kheda representing the Bharatiya Janata Party. I have Dr. Ajay Kumar, a former police officer, someone who's worn the uniform, Congress Party spokesperson, joining me on the broadcast. In a moment from now, we'll also be going to General Sharma, former co-commander, but that's subsequently, not in the political debate. But Radhika Kheda, Rahul Gandhi is leader of opposition, madam. How is he wrong when he asks what rule can stop him from asking a very critical national security question? Why not let him raise the question and answer whatever question he may have?
Good evening to everyone. Let's cut through the noise and theatrics and place facts on the table, Gaurav. What we witnessed in Parliament today was not a debate on national security. It was a political stunt built on hearsay, half-truths, and deliberate misrepresentation. First of all, this was a budget session. Rahul Gandhi, who claims that India is a dead economy, why did he run away from a discussion on the same so-called dead economy and the budget? That should have been the point of concern today. But following a script which comes from God knows where, his toolkit, Rahul Gandhi stood up claiming that national security concerns. And what did he rely on? No official briefings, no parliamentary records, no statements of the army or the government. When the Army, Navy, Air Force chiefs speak, when they spoke about Operation Sindoor, the same Rahul Gandhi and his party disregarded their words as lies and believed President Trump. They believed Pakistan, and everybody knows that Rahul Gandhi is the poster boy of Pakistan. So instead, he chose to quote a magazine article.
That's a grave charge to level on the leader of opposition, ma'am.
Gaurav, you cover national security and you're an expert at it. And you've seen all his statements have made headlines in Pakistan. All Pakistan news channels say, Dekho Rahul Gandhi kya kar raha hai. Of course, he's their poster boy because he refuses to believe our own Army, Navy, Air Force chief. Did he believe that we have the amount of planes that we've downed of Pakistan? No, but he believes Trump and questions us ki kitne plane hamare gire hai. When has Rahul Gandhi believed any of our Air Force, Navy or Army?
Okay, but let me for the moment stay on the current issue that he's raising. And now I can't quote because I believe breaking news that's just coming in. Part of Rahul Gandhi's, what he said in Parliament has been now expunged. Dr. Ajay Kumar, you know, whatever Rahul Gandhi said inside now we can't repeat since it's expunged, but outside he came out and he reiterated that the government is scared of China, and he quoted from what he calls as an unpublished book of General Narwane. Sir, the BJP says Nehru surrendered thousands of acres of land. BJP quotes from B.N. Malik's book. How will India fight China, sir? How will India fight China if this is the way Congress and the BJP take on each other? The only person celebrating today perhaps would be Xi Jinping and the Chinese. How divided India is.
So a couple of things. First of all, I want to correct Radhika ji. It was not on budget discussion. It was on the president's address. And since he was referring to what unsavory comment Tejasvi Surya made, we wanted to show that how the government of India has let down the armed forces. Now, Gaurav, I just wanted to ask a question. Is the same General Narwane, a very respected army officer, has not said that he didn't write that. Okay, he didn't write that. Now, what he's written, and you're an expert, you're a seasoned journalist, and I hope Radhika also understands from a country's perspective. And I would like to advise Radhika ji, please stop labeling opposition leaders poster boy. If I say Prime Minister is an Epstein's poster boy, does it look good? I don't want to use these statements, please. I mean, I had to say such a low-level comment because you make these comments, and I really again request you. No Indian, no member of parliament is always thinks for India's interest. You and I may have a different role, but this kind of, he's a Pakistani. We don't call the Prime Minister Pakistani poster boy. We don't call Rajnath Singh the Chinese agent because he didn't listen to Narwane, to General Narwane, or everybody switched off their phones, or Ajit Doval. And also, I said that why do we speak this unsavory language? The debate is General Narwane's unpublished book. Now, General Narwane has not said that. Now, what is it in the book? If you remember, when Vajpayee ji's Kargil thing, the Cabinet Committee for Security continuously met, even in Balakot. The famous cloud radar thing Prime Minister said during that time. But if you remember, even during Operation Sindoor, you guys covered the Cabinet Committee on Security's meeting continuously, Gaurav, continuously. Why? For every event, there was a continuous coverage. But when the Chinese were moving with tanks, and the chief of the Indian Army calls the foreign minister, the defense minister, the NSA, because it's an act of war. I was hearing a general before that. If the army had fired on the Chinese tanks, it would have been a start of a war technically. So he had to take the permission from government of India. There was no debate on that. the decision which came from the Prime Minister, which should have come earlier, is जो उचित है आपको करना चाहिए, should have come from the Cabinet Committee of Security. The decision which said कि जो आप उचित समझते हैं, आप कर लीजिए. That the government of India, the process, the nation should say, and it's not a question of Congress or BJP. And I'm really pained by this discussion. And Radhika ji, you are much younger to me, like my. So I just want to say that please let's stop this. The important part is General Narwane has not said he didn't write that. And if he did write that, Gaurav, won't you feel that it is a serious issue? That the chief of army staff doesn't, and the Chinese are going up the tank, because if you are fired at the Chinese and the Chinese tanks are destroyed, fine. Is it a start of a war? Is it the escalation? Is the nation ready to do it? Those are political decisions which the army chief was seeking. It was not tactical.
Radhika Kheda, respond. Rahul Gandhi's statements quoting General Narwane's unpublished memoirs, the Congress says that indicates a weakness in the higher direction of war, in the directive that should have come from the political leadership to the army at a time when the Chinese tanks were apparently, in those memoirs, apparently as quoted by Rahul Gandhi or, in public domain seem to indicate that the Chinese tanks were advancing. I have a different version of that story from General Y.K. Joshi, a completely different version when I interviewed him, and we've played that out on India Today. But respond, madam.
First of all, let me remind Ajay sir that yes, this session was formally what happened today was a motion of thanks to the President's address, but it is still a part of the budget session of the Parliament. So budget session has two phases. Again, the Congress is misleading the people. First phase, President's address and motion of thanks, and second phase, you have the budget presentation discussion. So motion of thanks is within the budget session. So I was factually correct. Secondly, sir, now if Rahul Gandhi, who is the leader of opposition of the world's largest democracy, he cannot, and he belongs to the Congress party. And yes, I say it again, and I say it with utmost जिम्मेदारी के साथ मैं ये बोल रही हूँ. हिंदी में भी बोल देती हूँ और English में भी बोल रही हूँ. That yes, Rahul Gandhi is the poster boy of Pakistan.
My only request to both my guesses, then it's name calling on either side. He will say something about the Prime Minister. You will say something about the leader of the opposition.
No, you cannot. The Prime Minister.
The only person who benefits out of this is either Xi Jinping or Asim Munir. Why would we do that? Why can't India present a united face facing these expansionists?
I'm sorry, we cannot present a united face when the leader of opposition decides to quote a magazine article of an unpublished book. What is the guarantee that that was written in the book what he's citing? Was it there on record? What is the guarantee that what Caravan says is correct? How can you mislead the nation? He has misled the nation on the floor of Parliament unlimited times. कभी कहते हैं कि हिंदू हिंसक होता है, कभी इस चुनाव के पहले he goes on to say संविधान खतरे में. What संविधान was खतरे में? He cannot go on misleading the country. Why does not he talk about the papers that he signed with China, which was hidden from the country? What was written in that document that he was signing away with China? You cannot continue misleading the nation. And yes, Jinping, or for that matter, Pakistan are having a good time because they know that the leader of opposition is going to take their side. He does not believe the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has never gone and said कि हम ये आप पे विश्वास नहीं करते. When did the Bharatiya Janata Party refuse to believe the Chief of Army, the Chief of Navy, and the Chief of Air Force? I would like
Dr. Ajay Kumar, you want to respond? Dr. Ajay Kumar wants to respond to you because Dr. Kumar, you've served in the government, you've worn the uniform. Even if we were to take...
his own MPs laughed at him today. The speaker had to intervene and said, how can you laugh at your own member of parliament when he said, I'm trying to talk about national security? That's how serious the Congress party takes Rahul Gandhi himself.
But my question to Dr. Ajay Kumar is, so the chief reached out, if that is to be believed, if that is really true, he reached out to the government, there was some, according to him, a delay in response. But does the government give a, knee-jerk response to such a grave, situation? Aren't inputs taken from multiple people? I've been speaking to my sources in the government, and they say that for an informed decision, inputs are taken from multiple elements, not just one person. And ultimately, did India buckle under pressure? There was eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation with China. It was China that disengaged first in that QPQ, and those images were released.
So, first question. Calmly. Radhika ji, the BJP and RSS had a meeting with the communists, with the Chinese recently. What is this pseudo-Hinduism, pseudo-nationalism of the Bharatiya Janata Party? The total, you will find out every way to oppress the 90% of the population of the people in this country, which includes ST, SC, OBC and minority. But leave that aside. You had a meeting with the Chinese and you are I would say, no name calling, But the way these guys are proceeding, they should be the poster boys for the Chinese. They banned all the apps when the Chinese attacked. Now they're doing the biggest trade deal with China. So let's not get into the zipping. I think Mr. Modi should be the poster boy. The BJP should be the poster boy for every anti. The Bharatiya Janata Party should stop lying. They had a meeting with the Communist Party, recently. What did you not say about Rahul Gandhi when the Chinese ambassador met, and you had an official meeting with the Chinese, and then you have the courage to say this kind of statement, the second part.
But, the facts on ground...
Now, answering,
Okay,
Gaurav,
of course,
Gaurav,
complete your
answering,
point, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
answering your question. The chief in his article, the chief has not said, I've not written it. So, Radhika ji, please ask the chief to publicly say he's not written it, and we will face the consequence of it. The chief has not said he's not written that. First point. The second point.
Under what capacity was this held? What was Rahul Gandhi, leader of
Radhika ji, I
opposition,
didn't.
or
Radhika
the
ji,
Prime
Radhika ji.
Minister of the
My
country?
God.
Please tell us
Gaurav,
today.
one sec. Gaurav,
What
one
was the
sec.
authority of Madam Sonia Gandhi
One
and
sec,
Rahul
one
Gandhi
sec,
over here?
Only Dr. Ajay Kumar, because last 30 seconds I have to bring in General Rakesh Sharma also into this conversation for a non-political perspective on the situation. Dr. Kumar.
So if you look, it's the most shameful abdication of leadership. The general kept asking the chief of Indian Army, sir, because it would have been declaring war on China. Why didn't you call the cabinet committee for security? And why do you keep Dindora Pitoing? With Balakot, you'll go on TV and say, "Humne ye kar diya, humne meeting bulaya."
Okay.
But when it comes to
Sir,
China,
give me a moment. I want to quickly bring in General Rakesh Sharma. Sir, you've commanded the Ladakh Corps. Your impression of this current controversy, was the government, in your view, unwilling to give clear instructions to the then Army Chief? Only General Rakesh Sharma for a moment, please.
Thank you, Gaurav, for inviting me. Firstly, I would say that this is a very painful and a distressing debate that's happening, not now, through the day. The fact of the matter is that there is nothing, the troops in contact then are all serving today. They actually know what happened. The formation commanders know what happened, and they would be listening on. There are troops in contact today also, sitting across the same borders, and we are now discussing issues which are, must be painful across to many people who did something. And second is that there is also a question of a whole lot of conjecturing around. The book is not out. The book is not in the open domain, and we do not know what exactly is written in the book. Book may get redacted by the time it comes out. That's a separate issue altogether. But the fact is, what is the truth? The truth exactly is not even come out, because there are operational reports which are being buried in that manner, which will not be out.
So does this debate actually weaken India's position when internal processes and impressions come out in public domain? Does that give China an advantage into our thinking or our perceptions?
Look, I'll take a step back on your question. You have a valid question that you're asking. The point is that the quid pro quo was planned over a period of time. The troops trained for it. They went over 100-kilometer frontier. It is not this R22 Rezangla Richingla. It is from Anila Kula, which is well on top of. So this was a very major operation, about 2-division operation, not 4 tanks and not 14 tanks. Large operation was carried out. We must salute the people who did it that heights. First part.
Absolutely.
Second, when we started debating from 15th of June onwards, and we have all been debating, there was a thought process of rules of engagement. So what are the rules of engagement? Why didn't we fire at Galwan, etc., etc.? Here also, as part of this operation being carried out, certain rules of engagement must have been disseminated. Firstly, the operation would have been discussed in the CSG level, and the CSG China study group. They would have approved this operation. Certain kind of contingencies would have been worked out in the CSG. Certain rules of engagement would have been disseminated across. That squadron commander who was ordered to go on 29th night with 14 tanks to these 2 passes would have asked a logical question, Mera hukum kya hai? What do I go there? I'll just wait. So his orders would have been clear. Otherwise, the squadron commander is not worth his beans, and he would have done it. Maybe he fired a shot. Maybe he gave a warning shot or a illuminating round or something.
Ills were fired. Illuminating rounds were fired. General, I've run out of time on this part of the show. I want to thank you